Okay then, so we'll start off with these very early Digit paperbacks. Now, when Digit started, they were predominantly published in war titles, and well, this one first published in 52, but I believe the Digit started about 56, 57, and we'll just basically go through these and give them a quick flip through, make sure there's no sort of pencil marks inside them, and then we'll give the top edges a nice dusting off, and then we'll polish the jackets on these as well, the front covers. Now, I've sort of been collecting Digit on and off for years, and I've never sort of gone out of my way to try and get them all. But in the end, I've ended up with a few hundred in my collection. So I've got about half of them today, first to have a look through and clean up, and then we'll do the other half in a few weeks' time. I want to sort of try and mix in my Penguin and Pan collections, because they're sort of the backbone of my paperback collection, and I've got a lot of them, so they're going to take quite a bit of time. I think what we'll do then, if we get, that's probably enough in one hit to do the old cloth. And what I'm going to do, rather than use my toothbrush, because we've got quite a wedge of these, I'm going to use this sort of shoe brush here, as you can hear, and I think this will be better for tackling a few books at once. So I would say less than a quarter of this collection have actually ever been looked at properly and cleaned properly. Incredible amounts of dirt coming off that first one there. And once you get past the sort of early wartime and war-related titles, which was really hot when these books were being published, you get on to a real mixture of stuff. That we get some film tie-ins, quite some cool sci-fi, some horror, some classic crime. There's a real sort of mixture of titles. So I think in the end, out of the sort of 900 or so Digit books that ever got published, it's quite a nice one to collect, because it's not ridiculous amounts of books. Apart from one book in particular, which is Junkie, which is expensive in Digit form. The rest of them are all fairly reasonably priced, to be honest. You just might have to wait a little bit of time to actually track a copy down. There is a definitive list of Digit books, and it lists just under 900 or so titles ever published, and I think that is about correct. You see these early ones here, they're all sort of, as I said, all war related. And the jackets and something like that, not the greatest of jackets, but it is what it is, really. Some are better than others. Later on we'll have some by some more familiar names in the world of paperback artwork. People like Sam Peffer, for example. So none of those have got any markings inside, but they've got really dirty tops. I mean, some of them incredible, in fact. So I'm imagining this one here, that second one in, is particularly bad. So I'm just going to sort of squeeze it this time round and get the thick brush on. And squeeze it from the other side and do the same again. difference that's made. This one's really sort of lightened up, that second one in, hasn't it? On the bottoms, because the dust hasn't settled, the bottoms of these are pretty good. And I'm just looking at these a little bit closer to see. This one here needs its spine regluing, so that almost missed quality control there. So this one here, Battle of the Bulge. If we take the cover off here, yeah, I can feel it's loose actually in my hand. So it's okay there, but you can just sort of see. Where's my screwdriver? It's that piece there has actually come away. So I could just get some glue, I think, and I'll pop it along this edge here, just to sort of glue that piece in place, and it'll stop it getting any worse. And I might be able to get a little bit of glue onto the end there to put the cover back down. So nothing too serious. It's going to be a little bit of a delicate operation. So we'll leave the books there to support this one a moment. Just put that back a little bit so it gives me a little room to get the glue in. Now I just use simple paper glue, which is Pritt Stick. It's cheap, it's cheerful, and it's versatile. Now I can be quite generous with this because it's doing quite a large area. And I'll go back the other way and pop a bit on there as well. And this is just the sort of thing I was looking to do when I started repairing my books. So I'm pinching that together, then I'll just push the a bit of spine down. And with Pritt Stick, if there's any excess, it will just sort of splurge out the edge. So I'm going to get the little bits off my fingers here. Let's go back to it. So it's definitely sorted that bit out, hasn't it? And what I'm hoping to do is just sort of catch that bit of spine there to keep that a bit more in place as well, which I think is just about done, which is what I was hoping. A little bit of the glue would just seep over a little bit and keep that bit of front cover in place, and that's exactly what it's done. So that's all right. That's the first little fix done. And it's not like these books are worth loads of money or anything like that, because they're definitely not. I suppose the more sort of collectible authors will be worth a few pounds, but generally speaking, they're not worth a fortune. But they're just, I think that, you know, if you're a paperback collector, you're bound to have come across a few digits in your collecting time. And when you get a few together, I think they look really great. I do like military history, but a lot of these are very much almost what you could call them one-hit wonders, you know. Not all of them, but some of them. But there was evidently a massive demand for Second World War fiction once the war had finished, and this is like, you know, 10 years later, and I guess sort of older soldiers were getting a little bit nostalgic, perhaps, for their time in the war, or there was particular bits which these soldiers had decided to put their thoughts down into a book form, maybe hoping for the next bestseller. Don't forget, around this time, Colditz had been published and had become a massive, massive hit. And this author, Pat Reed, a very rich man off the back of it. And I guess there was a few other people who thought they had equally good stories to tell. God, you can almost see these lightning in front of your eyes as the dust is sort of brushed out. It's really incredible. And incredibly satisfying, I have to say. Lovely to see these cleaned up like this. And when I look at my shelves, knowing that these are all done and dusted as good as possible is really nice. That's okay, except that little bit there, which I'm going to need the toothbrush for. So let me go and grab that. So the toothbrush will just give me more accuracy than the big brush, just to get into that bit near the spine here, because I don't want to damage these. The top edges here, they're already sort of frayed and a bit delicate. When the book's in you, it's a bit easier, but when these are of this vintage, and we are sort of talking 65 to 70 years old, most of these, there we are. Care is needed, I think, is the watchword there. Let's pop them over there. Air Patrol Biscay. And so far, none of them have had any old pencil marks or bookseller marks inside, so that's been pretty good. It's a fairly nice cover there. Torpedoes in the wake. Oh, now there we are. We were just saying none of these have got a price in. And here's the first one, so it's got like a £2 inside. So I just use this polymer, Pentel polymer rubber. It's like an artist's one. They're not expensive, you know, about 50 to 75p online. Sometimes you can pick up 3 or 4 for £1.50, including the postage. They'll probably sell these in your little art shop, but as I said, I got mine online when I ran out, because it was during lockdown, so the art shop where I live was shut. I was also able to get a little artist's scalpel there, which I sometimes use in the art shop as well. There we are. That's just got that little unsightly second-hand bookshop price out, because I don't like that inside my books if I can help it, but many of them, particularly my older books, have got that inside. Okay, now I've looked at this one on the front cover here, and I can just see either side like a GP or something like that. Oh, 2p, that's what that is, 2p. And it's really deep. It's even come through on the back cover there. There's a little 35p, so we'll get this one out inside. So this one's got a bit of a double whammy of marks inside, but it may have been one I picked up at a boot sale or in a charity shop, something like that. Now, because this has got quite a glossy cover, there's another 2p up there I've just noticed as well. Because this has got quite a glossy cover, there is a little sort of trick that you can use, which may or may not work. But basically what you do, you just get a little bit of like spittle, just sort of wet the end of your finger there, pop that onto the affected bit like that, and then use your rubber, and sometimes that'll be enough to very carefully lift the ink up from the affected area. And it does work very well on annuals, sort of hardback annuals, but varying degrees of effect on an old paperback. But we'll have a look. It does seem to have done the trick in this particular case, because this wasn't pencil, this was pen we were getting off. But as I said, because it was pen onto a glossy cover, just that tiny bit of spit basically from the end of my finger was enough to sort it out. So look at that. So that 2p's gone now. You can still see the indentation in the light, but that looks much better, doesn't it? Now, I don't know if you can pick it up, but there's also a 2p in the top right corner there. So I'm going to do the same thing again. Wet the end of my finger and dab it on there, like so. Then I'm going to use the rubber, and hopefully that'll tackle it. And don't forget, we're going to go back over these a bit later, and I'm going to polish all the covers and spines and that will give it one final last little clean. This is just like stage 1, and we'll do stage 2 in a minute with the actual giving each book a quick polish. Once again, I think it's done all right. Yeah, it's a bit harder to tell because the area was dark already, but I think that's all right. I'm quite pleased with that. That's particularly around there, that did look awful, and that's sorted that straight out. There we are, up for the firing squad by the look of it. RAF invaders caught by the Gestapo. Okay, Mr. Roberts, this is the first film tie-in, I believe. Nice photograph cover there. Oh, mint book as well. So there's another 4. So let's give these top edges a wipe. Right. There we are. So it's really that one in the middle which is really bad, isn't it? That's not too bad. We'll start another pile. And as we go through, I'll pull the camera out a little bit. So this one here, it's got a big 1 and 3 on, but this is a bit different. That is not something that can come off. That's been written in, well, I'm not really sure. It looks like some sort of maybe China marker, something like that. There is, however, a little £2 inside, and we can definitely get rid of that, because that's just in pencil. And I do hope I inspire you to go to your bookcases and get your collections as nice as possible. It's a very satisfying process. Here's a nice one here, George Simenon. It's probably worth a few pounds, you know, these days. He's had a bit of a revival lately with the Simenon TV series, starring, or May Gray, of course, starring Rowan Atkinson. There's another one here. This one's got £3 inside. It's pretty rare that I actually pay that sort of money for a paperback, but sometimes I do. And that is exactly why I'm doing this. That's the first science fiction one we've seen today, so it's nice not to have a war title. It's a Friedrich Poe. I think I've had this one a long time, yeah. Okay, so we get those 4. I can see some of these I have had for quite a while, because looking at the tops, they're really dusty. They've never been done. There we are. Lovely. Let's crack on. Landed at dawn. Night Intruder. This one's got a bit of a spine roll on it. It's definitely, let me see the wear on it. It's quite a worn sort of old copy, this one, but you know, it'll do for the time being, but it's pretty borderline. This is about as low as I'm prepared to go on a book in my collection unless it's something pretty rare, you know. That's definitely borderline. Because you notice on the whole, my digit collection isn't too bad, condition-wise. I try and, you know, I have standards, you know. Okay. Just seems easier to do these sort of 4 at a time with regards brushing them down. Actually, none of these are too bad, dust-wise. Right. I think what we'll do there, I'll just pause and I'm going to pull the camera out and give us a little bit more space to work. Okay, so we'll crack on then. Full ahead, both are giving us much more room now, so you can see exactly what's occurring. Well, this is Isaac Asimov, not in the greatest of shape, but we'll take it. I don't mind Asimov, you know, and although the robot novels are massively dated these days, the foundations are all right. A few of these are in a little bit of a sorry old state. That's another one which is very, very warm there, but you know, I'll take it. There's another one here, like the hero. Also very sort of grubby. And there'll only be a certain amount that I can do to these, you know, get the 4 edges tidied off a bit. But since I'm a sucker and I collect publishers rather than authors or series, sometimes you end up with some slightly unusual books, and you do also end up with books that you never realised were quite as valuable as they've turned out to be. Some of the most expensive Penguin books are like crossword books. And it's just because of the time they were printed and their overall sort of rarity. And we'll see a few of those in the upcoming videos. Yeah, they were all a bit on the tatty side. Those ones, this one here, at the top of the, oh dear, yeah, I just got it there. It's the top of the spine. Cool. Little wisps of, can you see it? Little wisps of dust coming off it. It was truly awful, that one. And it's not that my books have been stored in a dusty environment. This is just how they've come, and they've ended up in my collection like this, which is not great because nowadays I clean my new editions as they sort of come in. Nothing gets added into my collection until it's been through sort of the cleaning process, and then I've checked it off and cross-referenced it on my various databases to make sure it's fully sort of catalogued. But because I've been collecting, you know, literally for decades, since I started collecting paperbacks properly, I suppose, when I was about 18, and that was a few decades ago now. So in that time, I never used to pay this much attention to them because, and they weren't as organised. I just didn't have the space to display them and put them in another bookcase space. But now that I have, it's lovely to get them sorted as best I can, and obviously I'm very, very grateful for some of the stuff I picked up years ago. I'd never be able to afford it today, unless I got lucky. the dust, you can see it flying off. Particularly the spine of that one. Incredible. Those four were some dirty edges, I tell you, blimmin' heck. Just incredible there. Wow. You'd never would have known that they were that dirty on first sort of glance. But when you've cleaned them up like that, boy oh boy. But something like this is one I've had a long time, and I can sort of see, like, under the light, it sort of glistens. You can sort of see all the dirt and stuff that's on it. This is one which is going to really appreciate from having a polish in a minute. It really, really will. Apart from that, it's a nice copy. And I'm aiming to have all of these done in about an hour, so that is my target on these videos. An hour and a quarter. It doesn't matter if they overrun. Not the end of the world. We're not in a hurry. But this was another like box load of stuff, and I've split my digits basically into 2 lots, so we should be able to get all the digits done in two videos over a few hours, two and a half hours. There we are. These aren't too bad. These are pretty nice copies. One thing that these digits are, they're not beautifully produced. They're not high quality books, a bit like, say, the Penguins are. And by this time, the pounds of this period were quite high quality. And the Fontanas and that, they were all very, very nice. These are a bit cheaper, a bit pulpier. And you can sort of see that when you clean them and you sort of feel the quality of the paper. It's just not up to the same level as those other publishers. The Fuhrer Must Die. This is one I had for many, many years. Yeah. And because of that, I knew it hadn't been through the process. Because look at that. It's got 10p there. Looks like it was 90p, then it was 80p, then 10p. So there's deflation for you. Cool. They put the pencil on in quite heavily. But it looks like it's all come up with a little gentle effort there. Being careful, because when you're rubbing stuff out, if you're not careful, if you put too much pressure on it, you can pull this corner of this top page out. And I have done it on delicate books before, because I've not picked up how brittle the paper was, but look at that, that's come up lovely. So that's okay. Their finest hour. All right. This is quite a rare book, this one. Very, very dirty. It's looking at the German concentration camp, Belsen. A woman who used to work for my dad. She was in the Women's Air Force. She sadly passed away now. She's called Beryl. She's a really, really lovely woman, and I got to know her very well. And yeah, at the end of the Second World War, she was only about 17 or 18, and she was in the Women's Air Force, the WAF, and she was part of the first contingent to go into Belsen once the Germans had fled. And it haunted her for the rest of her life, what she saw there. That's a very look at the state of that. It's very, very tatty, but it could be quite a rare sci-fi one. That just reeks of the 1950s, but there's lots of dirt on it. It's going to really, really benefit from a good polish, that one, because it's dirty. Look at the dirt on some of them. So let's do these bottom edges first of all. All pretty dirty. This was quite a bad batch. But it was always the top edges that were going to be the worst. And they weren't actually as bad as I was thinking. Lovely. Little 50p there. It's another one with like a China mark on. Nothing you can really do about that. The polish might lighten it a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see. Hands of the Devil. Another one with a few little interesting fingerprinty marks there, which I think the polish is going to really tackle quite nicely for us. At least that's what I'm hoping. Don't compel me. That's a lovely jacket, isn't it? Gambling, girls and drink. As I said, with the digit list, as you go on into it, it does get a bit more varied rather than those war titles that we saw right at the start. And that's cool. I like variety. Lovely. All coming together quite nicely here. This one's a little the worse for wear. Couple of bent over corners there, that's fine. 303, whatever that is. 3rd of March. It will be so nice to have these on the shelf knowing that they've been cleaned as good as possible. Quite a thick one here, Jet Fury. Much thicker paper than is normal, but that's fine. Maybe Digit were having an issue with the printers. Even, you know, come the mid-50s, there was still some paper rationing going on. in parts of the UK. That's a favourite of mine, the Sergeant Bilko joke book. Phil Silvers is great. That's fine. Although I say that's fine, it's got a little bit of glue, could be at the top end of the spine there. I've just spotted, because most of these haven't been too bad, but look at that. That could catch, so I'm going to get some glue in there while I'm here, while the iron is hot. Just get a little bit of Pritt stick in there. A little bit was really all it took. Just sort of recreate that into that little shape and squeeze it together and squish it down. Tiny bit squatted out the end, but not much. There we are. I'll do on it. Stop it getting any worse. And that's what this is all about, really. It's preservation. I know we're repairing and cleaning the books to get them looking as good as possible, but we're also preserving them for future generations. There we are. Lovely. Okay, so let's give these a bit of a wash. Well, definitely better. Not perfect, but better. And that is at least an improvement. This is another Frederick Poole, but look at this, got some pen on the back there, but there's nothing I can really do about that. That's, it is what it is. Until a better one comes my way, I'll be happy with that. There's another movie tie-in for Journey to the Centre of the Earth. As I said, they did do quite a bit of genre fiction in the end. Something like that's actually quite common. Classic 50s sci-fi. It's lovely, isn't it? Really is excellent. Just see the remnants of an old 20p in there, which hasn't been rubbed down properly, so I'm going to just finish the job to a higher standard than whoever did it before. There we are. It's funny, when I finish doing these cleaning videos, the state of the floor is incredible. You wouldn't believe how much rubbish and debris gets generated from one little box of books. It's quite something. Made a huge difference to those. Look how clean they've come up. Lovely, really, really nice. That's what we were looking for. And sadly, this is a nice book, but it's certainly been through the wars. It's a lot. It's got dirty edges. Whoever read this hadn't washed their hands. 1958, these So they'll benefit from that invitation to violence. Not sure what that is, if it's juvenile delinquency or what. A JD. This is a Western, The Shooting of Wild Bill Hickok. Yeah, this one's got some pen inside, so a pencil rather, so we get this rubbed out. So I do hope you've been enjoying the new channel and the dedicated book repair and book cleaning videos. It's something that's always done very well on my main channel, and I thought I'd just do a whole brand new channel devoted to cleaning my collection. I won't just be doing books. I've got a lot of Star Wars stuff and some old toys that need attention. So eventually, I'll get around to doing some of that. I just couldn't tell you when, but it's going to be happening. They're all good. So if you have been enjoying the videos, I hope you've hit the subscribe button so you never miss one. I'm only doing one a week. That's all I can commit to, I'm afraid, but that's fine. If you are able to share this out onto social media, ideally Reddit is the main one, then that would also be very, very much appreciated. So once again, that's made quite a big difference on that, particularly that one at the back there, that was really bad. Much, much cleaner now. Right then, so I think we'll just pause there, and I'll thank my Patreon and channel membership supporters. Lovely, let's crack on then. Got the last little stack to do, and then we're going to go back over them and give them all a really good polish and clean up, get them looking as good as possible, because we've certainly seen some that need a polish. That's a beautiful cover, isn't it? That really, really nice. This one here's got some of the cover actually out. It's a Brian Aldiss, who I like, a penned 25p there. So this one's obviously come through the old, charity shop or boot sale find, I guess, over the years. It's looking a bit on the rough side, and I can't replace what's not there or repair what's not there. So this is very much going to have to be a filler until a better one comes along. But it's not the end of the world, I don't mind that. Alexander Dumas, author of the Three Musketeers, of course. That was absolutely beautiful compared to the one before it. Crimes there. This one looks quite sort of faded, doesn't it? Like it's sun bleached. But I don't think it is, because the yellow digit there is okay. It just I think it's just the way that the cover's been put together. That second one in there still seems a bit dirty, doesn't it? But I've done as good as I can, really. I've mentioned it before in the videos that the only other recourse you've got on a really, really dirty edge like that is potentially to take some fine sandpaper to it. And I have tried it on a couple of books that were just sort of fit for the bin. And I just didn't really like the result. It just seemed a bit too rough and just didn't look right. So I don't know, the jury's out on that. Great cover there, that's by Usborne. Very foxed edges on this one. Again, not a great deal we can do about that. It's just how it's been stored over the years. It's a nice jacket, that one. Not where I've stored them, of course. I try and keep my books in a nice, cool environment, away from sunlight predominantly. All of these are going to really benefit from a good clean. But that's not always the case. Particularly with paperbacks, they were, often designed as throwaway media. So it's not surprising when they turn up in a terrible old state. Edges look very, very cool. Yeah. A wisp of dust fell into my hand there. Wow, that's made quite a difference, but they're not finished yet because I need a second going over these. Cool. I definitely benefited from it. Last handful now. Funny, some of these have just got like bits of dust that's caught on the sides and that where they've been stored, I guess. I said, all my books are on bookcases, except there's like a little run of stuff which I just don't have the space to put on the shelf at the moment. But that's not a lot. It's got the remnants of an old pound inside, this one. But where I store my books is generally very cool and dark and not humid. But I was discussing with the wife, once our son leaves home, I'm gonna have his bedroom, and that'll be a spare bedroom, so we'll have a little fold-out bed inside it, and then all the rest of the walls can be top to toe with dedicated bookcases, which will be very nice. It'll be nice to get some of the collection out that way. Lovely. Last little batch at this stage, and then we'll zip through and give the covers a polish. Yeah, that one's fine. This one's got a little bit of spine detachment. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit on my screwdriver and pop it just into there. There we are, that's that bit. And put another bit down the bottom. I just put the blob in basically and then squidge it along with whatever you might have handy. In my case, I use this micro screwdriver, but anything diddy that can get into these little gaps is absolutely fine, whatever you've got to hand. As I said, this isn't hard and fast rules. You know, we're repairing on the hoof. And these are just techniques that I've learned over the years of being a book collector and a book dealer. There we are. That's just going to put that nice and sharp now. That's fine. As I said, most of these digits have been pretty good. We've only had to glue a couple, haven't we? Nice bold jacket on that one. For another Brian Aldiss. Last couple. Nice copy of that one. And the last one is this one by Lan Wright. Dated 1958. There we are. It's a bit more than we usually do, but we'll give these a brush down. Lovely. Right. So I'll just clear the decks now, and we shall get the books polished up. Okay, so I use Mr. Sheen. It's just like a multi-purpose cleaner. Made for polish, but made for furniture, I should say, but it works great on book covers, and I've got a very soft cloth here, which I've used many times, so it's well broken in, shall we say. And what I do, rather than spray it directly onto the book, unless it's really stubborn, I just spray it onto a corner, because eventually this whole area is going to get quite damp, and I'm just going to whack it on. Now, quite a bit of the dirt on some of these books is going to be almost like invisible. You're not going to be able to actually see it, but believe me, it is there. And there was a few books as we went through that we picked up were really in quite an old state, and those are the ones that are most going to benefit from having this sort of little polish put onto them. So we're not going to dwell on it unless a book really needs it. But believe me, there's far more dirt than meets the eye. So something like this as I'm cleaning it, the white areas of the cover really do come up much cleaner than they originally were. So this is basically the very final stage today, but also a necessary stage. And you'll find the more modern the book, the easier to clean that they are, and the better they'll come up because they've got a higher level of gloss on the front. So when I clean new Star Trek books, for example, which I've done because I've been collecting them quite a lot recently, because they're much more modern than these 50s books, they come up lovely, really, really nice. This is the one we repaired the spine on. Ironically, the author of this book is George Sheen, so he actually is Mr. Sheen. Loads came off this one. You could almost feel the dirt coming off this particular book. It's weird when that happens, but yeah, you could almost feel it because it was a particularly glossy cover and loads of dirt came off that. Decades and decades of it. This is another one that feels like it needs quite a good little polish. It feels like it's going to benefit from a good rubbing down. Now, on the surface, it may not have looked like much. Believe me, when you've got it right here in front of you, you really can see the difference in some of these. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So that's 10 books. Look at that. And that was basically as clean as that when we started. So it just shows that there was a lot of dirt on there, and I'll just sort of work my way over. So as I'm filming this video, because I wanted to get a little bit ahead of the channel before I launched it properly, the first video still hasn't gone out, the first cleaning video, and I'm here filming the third one. And I've got a couple of like compilations of earlier videos already in the can as well, as it were. So it doesn't hurt to be a few videos ahead, just in case something happens and it stops me filming for whatever reason. I've got a little bit in reserve just to keep everything ticking over. So I've not had any feedback yet on how these videos are going to go down. Now, obviously I've done similar sorts of stuff on my main channel anyway, and I know that these videos are amongst my most popular ones. So, but if there's particular stuff you'd like to see, you know, give me a shout. But over the course of cleaning my collection, every sort of possible repair is going to be attempted, including sorting out spine roll and sticker removal, plus what we've done today basically. And I may go back and pull out selected rarities from the collection and bag those up as well. I'll also be doing some dust wrapper protection, so I'll get books and hardbacks and get the hardback dust wrappers wrapped up. Still got quite a bit to do on my, you know, first edition hardback collection that need a bit of extra attention. That was that one with that 2p there. Come up very nicely. As the books get a little bit more modern, they get easier to clean. They're printed on slightly better paper, which does make a difference. Lovely. So it doesn't take long to go through these, give them that final little dust off and polish, but it makes a huge difference, you know. And these books, you'll be able to pick one at random and know that it's in relatively great condition and it's, you know, good enough to read. So as you're watching this, it's towards the end of, as I film this, it's towards the end of 2021. And I've been saving all my sort of YouTube earnings to build a dedicated studio in the garden. And that's what my Patreon and channel memberships go towards as well. So hopefully I'll be able to do a bit more of this in a slightly better environment once the studio has been built. At least that's the plan. This was another one that I've taken loads of dirt off. I can feel it. I can see it. Jeez Louise. In the dust there, I can still see like a... Looks like there may have been, historically a sticker right in the middle there and it's come off. They haven't done a brilliant job, but they've not done a bad job. That one's come up all right. This is another one that felt like I was getting quite a bit off it, if that makes at all sense. But you just sort of have a feeling when you're really sort of caning it, as it were, that certain books that were really dirty are really suddenly getting clean. It's hard to explain. I know many paperback collectors wouldn't touch anything too low grade. They just, they'd wait for a better copy to come along. And there is, some sense in that, I guess, but I'd always prefer to have one in my collection low grade and then potentially upgrade it down the line, than not have an example at all. But the only sort of drawback with that is you can sometimes come across a book that you've got in low grade, and because you've already got it, you're not that inclined to upgrade it because there's other stuff around. So, I don't know. Use a different bit of cloth now. sort of see some of the dirt coming off the back of that one. Yeah, look at that. That was brand new. It's another one with a lot of fingerprints on. And sometimes you can't see it with the naked eye, but you just know it's there. I was trained to kill. Well, I wasn't, but he evidently was. Cornelius Ryan, he was the guy who wrote The Longest Day. Got made into that great film. Nice jacket, that. Crime title. So we're on to the last stretch now. And these later ones aren't so bad with regards how much polish they need, because the covers are they're made of better material. So generally speaking, they're a little bit more glossy. So hopefully we've not got too much left to go through to finish this first batch of digits. Obviously later ones, when we go into the ones from the 1960s, they're going to be even easier to clean. Just trying to get a convenient bit here. There we go. Yeah, they'll be even easier to clean. And that'll be in a few weeks' time, I'll have that. So basically I'm going to do a vintage penguin, a vintage pan, a vintage pan, a vintage penguin, then another publisher. So the first one I've chosen was Digit. Then we'll go for another penguin, another pan, and then Digit Part 2, and so on. And I'll work my way through the smaller publishers as we go along, just to keep things interesting, so it's not too pan or penguin heavy. And alternative weeks, you'll see one from the archive, and I've got about 30 older videos which I've got cleaning stuff on, and it's not just books. So there will be some Star Wars stuff and some other bits and pieces as well, some old toys, and got some electrical bits and all sorts, in actual fact, which needed a good clean, which I've done already, but you may not have missed it, and I've re-edited them to to take out a lot of the bells and whistles, so they're a bit more relaxing. And you can, a bit more like this, basically. You can sort of chill out to them. Certainly been getting through the Mr. Sheen today, but that's all right. Put it on the shopping list for next time. Lots of dirt came off that one. So much so I'm going to need a fresh bit of cloth again. This is another one, got loads off. So you see sort of the black sort of fingerprints and stuff at the top there. Lovely. Makes a huge difference, you know. Beautiful cover that, isn't it? So that's now in all edges, it's been cleaned to within an inch of its life. Perfect. That would have been, that's not a British cover, that's pinched from an American one. And they may have borrowed the artwork or something like that, but they don't produce them like that in the UK. So we've not got many to go, we've probably only got about 20, 25 to go. So we're going to zoom through those, and that'll be it for Digit Books Part 1. Cleaning my collection, Part 3. Who'd have thought it? So if you can do me the favour of subscribing, I'll obviously be very, very grateful. The biggest favour you can do is spread the word to your friends. As I said, spread it online on Facebook or in Reddit groups, places like that. That can be very, very useful. You cannot beat word of mouth. So if you have enjoyed the video, that would be fantastic. Feel free to leave a comment below, good or bad. I try to read them all. Sometimes a few slip through the net because of, something gets held up. If you say, oh, you should look at this video, and then you link to it, often YouTube won't publish that until it's been manually reviewed to avoid spam. So, if I don't reply straight away, it's probably because that's happened. Don't worry. I do check the spam folder once a week for stuff that's slipped through the net. it is quite incredible. On to the last few now. And it is quite incredible just how much dirt has come off these books. It really is. But it just means that I feel I've done a good job on them, and they're as clean as I'm likely to get them now. I said, I'm no expert, but I'm completely self-trained. But I am always open to new ideas, and if people have got other techniques that they use, just stick a comment in below. I'm really open to reading them and hearing about new ways to clean books. Come on, lovely. That's lovely, that, isn't it? Lovely. Flying through them now. I'm not sure how long this video's been in total, but it's probably about an hour or so, isn't it? Maybe a bit longer once it's been edited out. Doing a video like this, because I haven't got my dedicated studio yet, doing a video like this, I do get the odd interruption. So sometimes the dog might wake up and he'll want to go out, or I'll get delivery at the door, so all sorts of things can happen. Son come home from school, but that's cool. These things are all part and parcel of it. I hope it doesn't. I try and edit everything out if I can, but if I can't, I hope it doesn't interfere too much with your enjoyment. I do try my best, and I'm getting better all the time. But learning to be a videographer, get the good sound, and actually do something which is quite interesting at the same time. It's a bit of a juggling act, but I try my best. Really am quite surprised with the amount of dirt that's come off these books. It's okay. This duster will be going in the wash. But once it's had multiple treatments like this, the actual duster itself just becomes perfect. It's like it softens it. It gets it down to the bare bones. There's no loose bits and pieces coming off it. It just becomes a really, really good duster for this sort of job. Just got a last little half a pile here to finish out these digits for today. So if you found me through this video but you've not seen my main channel, well, just need to look up Jules Burt Paperbacks is probably enough, and you'll come across my main channel, and it's predominantly books and book related content, looking at recent publications and books about books, cleaning my own collection and showing you stuff that's in my vintage book collection, as well as a little bit of gaming and some toy stuff and things like that. So it's not all cleaning videos at all, and I keep that on here so that they're sort of separate. However, I do still do my monthly pickups videos where I clean all my new stuff. So if you'd like a bit more of this with a bit more commentary about what's been happening on the channel and things like that, just check out my monthly sort of pickup videos over on the other channel and you'll be up to speed. And the last one of those was an hour and a half long, so it went on a bit because I had a couple of nice collections of stuff come my way, which was cool. Wow, that back cover in particular came up really, really well. Very nice thing, very nice. Last few. Well, I say the last few, it seems to be going on forever, but I promise you it is. The last couple coming through. But as I said, I wanted to do this digit lot in 2 bits. I could have probably split it into 3 videos, but I think that's excessive for one publisher with the amount of books that I've got. I think 2 was enough. But hopefully within a very short period of time you'll have plenty on here if you were looking for a bit more. Whilst I build the library week by week, I'll be adding an extra video, so it'll soon rack up into hundreds of hours of content without too much trouble at all, because that's how these things work. On my other channel I've got over 500 videos up now. Admittedly not all long ones, some of them are short. I suppose my average length is probably 15 to 20 minutes. But some of them are long. This is a nice one. This is Edgar Allan Poe, Fall of the House of Usher. It's a bit of a classic, this one. And this was the UK film tie-in to it. Quite a collectible digit, that one, I would imagine. Probably 15 pounds, something like that. So last little handful. So yeah, as I close in on the last few, if you have enjoyed this video, do please give it a thumbs up. If you've not already, very much appreciate you subscribing. It will make a difference, particularly once I hit 1,000 subscribers. YouTube will promote the videos then a bit more. So yeah, do subscribe if you can, and leave a little comment down below. I think it's going to help YouTube know that you like the video at least, and it'll offer it up to more people who might also be interested in this sort of thing. And if you keep liking them, I'll keep making them. That's the deal. It would be nice to do more than one a week, but at the moment that's, I'm afraid, all I can commit to. Anyway, there we are. Thank you very, very much for watching today. And I shall see you next Saturday with a brand new cleaning and book repairing video. Bye.